Okay, hi. This is Portland Stew. Someone on our Pacific Northwest Discord was recently asking if anyone's made a video yet ranking Gothic cards for limited, and I haven't seen one yet, so I figured I'd just throw one together real quick. I'm sure better content creators will make much better versions of this in the weeks and months to come, but just for quick and dirty, if you're about to hit a draft in the new year and you want a quick rundown, I've played probably 5 drafts and 6 sealed pools now. The headlines are definitely that air is the weakest element, but it can complement other elements really well. The format tends towards longer, grindier games, but I've actually done really well by playing low-to-the-ground, aggressive decks in Limited so far, though that particularly works if you can get an avatar that works well with it, like Savior or Persecutor. And watch out for Necro, it's really strong, definitely tends towards long games. But yeah, here I'll just go through a quick rundown. So I've pulled up all the Ordinary cards to begin with, so this is our Ordinary Air cards. And the categories I've got are aces. These are cards that I would consider picking pick one. Queens are just really good cards that you're going to run in any deck where they're in your pool probably and they're in your element. The sevens are playables. You don't necessarily super duper want them, but you will be definitely trying to pick them in those middle of the draft picks. And then twos are unplayables, avoid putting them in your deck. And then I've made a little area over here for jokers, cards that you might play in some decks or have certain build-arounds that sort of knock them out of being clearly in one pile or another. So let's get started with Foul Bones. It's a great card. It's got a lot of personality. Why didn't that work? You can sacrifice a skeleton token to bring it back from the grave. So it's really good in a Necromancer deck. Great for carrying your Torch and Pitchfork. But the long and the short is it's a 1-power minion. Don't pick it. Goes in the twos. Next we got Dreadwing. So Dreadwing is the strongest Ordinary in terms of power for air, which kind of knocks it up a level that I think this card is more playable than I want it to be, just because if you're in air, a 4-power flying body is great. Having to take 4 damage when you play it is very not ideal, but I'm going to put it in the sevens, verging on the queens. I often find myself not playing this even when it's in my pool or in my element, because I end up deciding I'm just going to go low and fast, but it's a solid card. Forsaken, I'll put it as a queen. I think Forsaken's really good. The 3-power versus 2-power dynamic is huge in Gothic, so there's just a lot of 2 and 3-power minions, and so if you can hit these 3-power minions and the critical mass of them, you're just doing great. It's awesome playing this on rate. You play it turn 2, by turn 4 it's at their starting location. I've found it tends to pull your opponent out of position and burn up their removal early. So yeah, really solid card. Would play it most of the time. Displace, I guess I'll put Displace in the Joker column. It's a combat trick, which are often playable if you don't get enough removal. You want to play like 6 or 7 non-minions usually, and this can be a good one. It's great if you hit a toolbox. Love having this in your collection. Desecrator Kite, let's not waste our time on this one. It's a 1-power minion. It's got a little cute trick, but don't play it. Zap. I have been blown away by Zap so far. I would not pick it highly in a draft still. You're still better off with a good minion, but it can serve as removal in a lot of situations. You can definitely use it to deal the death blow, and that's where I've seen it really come in handy. This is another one that's sort of verging on the line between a 7 and a queen, but I'm going to put it in a 7. You're happy to put it in your deck, but it doesn't go in every single deck. Great collection card. Vampire Bats, 2 power airborne, is super playable, but it's only 2 power. It has 2 air threshold, which can cause a problem for hitting it on rate, so I'll put this in the 7s as well. It's a card that I would play in many decks, but I'm not excited to play it because 2 power just isn't much, and this is going to be a theme in air. Here's another 2 power airborne spellcaster. I would rather play a Broomstick Witch than a Vampire Bat most of the time, just because she can cast spells for me. It's got the 1 air pip instead of 2, so a little easier to hit on rate. But you know where she goes. She goes in the 7s. Here we go. Another solid queen. The Willing Tribute. This is a 2 power minion that doubles as a combat trick. So it's on rate. It's a 2 for 2, which is perfectly playable as one of your 2 drops in your standard curve. But then this doubles as a tool for letting your 5 power minion strike twice. Ends up working kind of like removal a lot of the time. So many good tricks you can pull off with it. Willing Tribute, almost an ace, and might be one of those cards that we later decide is an ace, just because of its power. Static Servant. This is one that's done a lot of work for me. Another one of those cards where you can trade up using it. You know, they've got a 3 power something. You bash your Vampire Bat into it, and then drop the Static Servant, and you end up. It's a 1-for-1 trade, but this let you do a 1-for-1 trade where you trade it up. So I play Static Servant if I'm in air, basically. I mean, the 2-drop spots fill up fast, so sometimes it doesn't make the cut because I have better 2-drops, but I'm going to say it's a queen. Gift of the Raven. Oh, I wish you were good. Oh, the worst gift by far. Yeah, it cantrips, so I'm not quite going to put it in the 2 section. Like, it's a playable card. And it helps get you to your better cards, and you can use it to heal up a little, which can have incidental use, but I haven't run it yet, to be honest. But I'm not gonna. Maybe I'll put it in the Jokers. It's a special case. Snally, our first A. Snallygaster. Sorry, that's going out of the screen. Slam it if you get it, is basically. I would hope that there's a better card to pick. Pack 1, pick 1, but pick 3, pick 4. I'd love to hit a Snallygaster. The 3 power is huge in this format, and the movement just makes it a total menace. You can keep it really safe, but still have it have lots of flexibility about what it does. Yeah, Snally, our first ace. And we're talking ordinary aces, so like obviously this isn't S tier cards. I'm talking, kind of thinking like poker hand style. Like if I see this in my pool or in my pack when I'm doing a draft, I think of it like an ace. Like this is a good card. I'd much rather have a pair of Snallygasters than a pair of Forsakens, if that makes any sense. Raise Militia. This is usually get you 3 power on board for 3. They're skeletons, not foot soldiers, which is worse, right? Like we've really embraced skeletons, but not being able to move to block is a non-trivial downside, to be honest, but they do come in handy. You get a blocker on every attack venue, right? It shows up on every site that's adjacent to your opponent's sites, so they do tend to put in some work. Yeah, I'd play it, like, because it's usually 3 power for 3, I think it lands in the queen category. It's still kind of lower in the category, but it's there. Novice Necromancer, Spellcaster doesn't make that much of a difference in this set. Like, a lot of the spells already have flexible casting, so you don't need Spellcaster that often. So it's just 2 power across 2 bodies for 2 mana, and we all know where that goes, right here in the 7s. Okay. Next up, Plague Rats. It's a 1 power. This is maybe the only 1 power minion I would play in a deck. So I'll put it at the bottom of the 7s. Let's move the jacks over. You can see how Air's looking so far. There's a lot of cards that you could play, but not a lot of cards you're excited to play in the ordinary slot. This Pith Imp, I mean, it's so cute. When you get the Pith Imp with the Wiccan tools and you get to cast your opponent's spell, it feels great, but also you had to put 2 cards in your deck to be able to take 1 card out of their deck and play it, and you have to get both of those cards. So Pith Imp would just be a 2 of clubs for me, but I'll put it over in the Jokers, because if you can occasionally draft or find in your sealed pool a couple of these and a couple Wiccan tools, and then it starts being maybe like, oh, maybe I do build around the Pith Imp combo. Gossamer Ghost. This is a stealth 2 power. I still put it in the 7s. Stealth is handy. You get to decide when it fights, who it fights, but at the end of the day, it's still just a 2 power minion on the board. That's not true removal or combat trick. It's never a surprise. Screamer. Screamer is great. 3 power, especially in air. Let's put it down here so you can see it. Genesis, you tap an adjacent enemy and make it take a step away. Screamer and its counterpart in water have proved super useful in the games I've seen. You can often move their blocker out of the way. Like, they set up a minion that's weak to one of your minions. They have a 2 power, you have a 3 power, but they have a 4 power that can block for their 2, and you Screamer away their 4, take out the 2, then they have the 4, but then you can do the old double block trip with the Screamer where they only get to kill the Screamer and not your 2 power. Yeah, it gets, I don't want to get deep in the weeds on it, but Screamer is great. That's an ace. Second Wind. This card always gets cut for me. It's like the 25th card in all of my decks that use air, and I drop it. It's got some, it's a combat trick. It's totally playable, but it's not Zap, right? Like, Zaps guarantees you a death blow. This can sneak you in a death blow, but I'll put it over here in our Jokers, because it doesn't deserve to be in the 2 pile. The Ghoul, all of these 3 powers for 3s are solid queens. They are great bodies to have on the board. I'd rather run the Ghoul in my deck than any of these cards in the 7 category, including Dreadwing, which is hard for me to accept. Dreadwing really wants to fly out of its spot, but by the time you play it, a lot of times the life race is already real, and then you discard a card, and so you 2 for 1 yourself. Yeah, Ghoul, solid queen. Murder of Crows. So the 2 pips is not something to be ignored. If this were 1 air threshold, I would definitely put this in the 7s and maybe even in the queens, because air needs more removal. You know, you're paying 6 to do 2 to everything, but this, you can really set up some moves with this. It's great for clearing out some of the boards full of skeletons that you'll run into. So I'm gonna, I don't know, it's still not that great, but I'll put it on the, you know, in the queens, drifting towards the 7s section. And then our last, oh no, we got 2 more. Our last minion in the Ordinaries for air is Bound Spirit. It's a 4 power for 4. That's awesome. Oh wait, it has to stay adjacent to your avatar, basically. I mean, yeah, there's some spellcasters we saw that can help give it a little more versatility. All that said, it's a 4 power for 4 in air. This is definitely a queen. If you're running air and you didn't get 4+ power minions in higher slots or your other element, it's still super playable. You know, a lot of times by the time you hit 6 sites, like going up to 7 or 8 sites isn't even some high priority, so just moving forward with your avatar so Bound Spirit can get into the fight isn't unreasonable. And yeah, I think it's actually playable. Maybe it should be a 7. This one, we'll put it on the low end of queens, but I'm calling it a wood play. And then Bone Spear. So Bone Spear is the best removal in the Ordinary slot for air. If I'm in a draft and I'm a pack and a half in and I know I'm running air, or I know I'm leaning towards skeletons, or if I opened a Necromancer, I'm slamming this like it's a Snallygaster, maybe even higher. But if you're not in skeletons, this can be a dead card in your hand. So this is a real, depends so much on your pool. I'm still going to call it a queen, because at the end of the day, a 3 damage projectile for 1 with all the skeleton generation in this set is just usually going to work out. And then in desperate situations, you death blow with, you know, your Flaming Skull or your Static Servant or Snallygaster, right? Run Snallygaster over to a position, or Snally can't blow up, but you get what I'm saying. The Ghoul, like there's so many undead in this set. I think it's probably the most common creature type or minion type. And then real quick, we'll just go through the sites. How high to pick sites in draft is a really interesting question that I'll let people who are better at limited than me answer. I generally don't pick them very high, but if I'm hitting the playables I need, like I start picking sites like this. I mean, some really good sites I'll slam super high. Like obviously when we get to the sites that summon the 3 power minions, those can be pack 1, pick 1s and have been for me. But so this, get a skeleton, that's a body on board, that's pretty good. I'd put the Mausoleum solidly in the queen category. I'm not going to pick it above playables probably, unless I've got my playables, but it's a really good air site. The Spore Spouts looks so cool. I've never pulled off a combo with it, to be honest. I'll put it down here in the 2s. Like, it's better than Aspire, obviously, but you know, like Static Servant, it could be good with Static Servant, it could be good with Willing Tribute. Like, there's definitely spells it feels like it could be good with, but I just haven't seen it put in any real work yet. And maybe I will soon, and I'll eat my words. I think it's a great site constructed. Probably run it in your interrogator or whatever. The blooms are great. All of the blooms, making it easier to splash a third element, or even just hit your thresholds early in the game. If I know I'm hitting my playables, I'll take a bloom over a novice necromancer or a vampire bat. And I mean, wow, Air's got some really good sites, I gotta say, because Den of Evil, just incredible. Bring this up a little. So you get to ignore threshold with this, cheat out your big guys earlier, and it's like, if you're in Air and you know you're in Air, yeah, I mean, I'd pick this above most 2-power minions, basically. It's right in this queen slot. Really happy to see these in your sealed pools too. Like, they're just playable on every Air deck, and yeah, on occasion I've been tempted to run this in decks that aren't Air just for cheating out a 10-ton slug or something like that. What's this vast desert doing here? Get out of there. A Cursed Tower, I'll put this in the 7s category. Breaking Wards is good when it's good, and like, I managed to pack one, pick one, a savior at my most recent draft, and when people hit these and managed to break my wards, they were pretty happy. But it's so conditional, and like, wards aren't as pervasive as, say, skeletons in this set. Like, there's a lot of wards around, but not so many that you're going to pick this over a playable minion, even if that minion is only 2 power, I guess is where I'd put it. So put that in the 7s, and boom. That's our Air breakdown. You can see that basically we've got these 4 over in our specialty case, and maybe playable depending on your build. These 3 are the ones I would never pick highly. I mean, obviously, you'll play Spore Sprouts if you can. Foul Bones, in a Necro deck, it's playable. And then Screamer and Snallygaster are the big 2 to me. Willing Tribute, Ghoul, Bone Spear, Forsaken. They're all sort of nipping at the heels of the aces, but didn't quite make it in. Here we go with the Fire Ordinaries in Gothic. First up, we've got Player. An ordinary demon deals 1 damage to each other nearby units. Great card. Often gets you a 2-for-1 or serves as removal. Can deal a death blow in a lot of fun situations. I don't know if I put it in the really strong love to play it or the ace category. I guess as a headline for Fire is the 3rd best element in Gothic. I've been playing it a lot with my experiments and running fast and low. It works really well. Great damage-based removal and minions with upside, but also a lot of minions with downside. I would probably be a very bad pack where I pack 1, pick 1 a player, but I'd take it pretty highly. Let's put it in the Queen category. The Queens are cards you're definitely going to play if you have them in your pool, but they're not pulling you towards that color, and they're not ordinaries that you'd consider packed 1, picking 1. Flaming Skull is part of that cycle of 2 power spellcasters. It's a good one, you know, it's airborne, better than the water one, but still just a 2-drop, which are not as good. I'm going to try and keep the pace up on this a little better too. So Flame Strike, incredible card. This is a card I consider pack 1, pick 1ing. You can often get a 2-for-1 on it. It gets your Death Blow in, just really solid removal. I'm going to say it's an ace. I think it's might be, we might end up deciding it's the best Ordinary in Fire. Oh no, I can think of one that might be better off the top of my head. Enraged Familiar. So this one would go right into the 2s category, the sort of unplayables, but for its power in Persecutor, or to a lesser extent, Blade Dancer. So this card goes in our Jokers category. Enraged Familiar is a 2 power for 3, but it gains 2 power for the turn if you lost life on the turn, which means your opponents have to be cautious about the order in which they attack when this is out. And on your turn, if you're playing Persecutor, you can attack into one of their, like a lot of times you'll kill a minion of theirs with your Persecutor and then deal 4 damage with your Enraged Familiar. There's so much you can do with it in Persecutor. So I call this like the Persecutor card. If you draft a Persecutor, it's easy to pull a bunch of these. Detonate. This card, I saw put in a lot of work, like especially release weekend when we were playing sealed. Like this lands in a lot of sealed decks and ends up serving as a Death Blow or a Desperate Measures removal card. If you're running some artifacts, there's some fun things you can do with like flying your artifact over some, like dropping an artifact somewhere and moving off the site. So it's playable. I would never pick it above a playable minion. I'm actually going to put it in the Jokers too. It works really well in certain decks, and then it's, you know, Wild Fanatic Charge. It's got charge, we like it. Yeah, it's only 2 power, and like we said, you really want the 3 power plus minions, but 2 power with charge, 4/2 is just incredible 2-drop value. And it's immortal, so if you hit a Savior, this card is one of your favorite cards. Which, interestingly, a lot of people don't realize at first, there's no limit how many times you can ward something with Savior the turn it's played. So often, if you've got 4 sites out, you can Wild Fanatic, ward it, attack something, maybe kill that thing, but then after you've attacked the thing, re-ward it. And so you end up getting a sort of removal and a body with ward. It can just get crazy. Vandal Imp, don't play it, 1 power. It destroys an artifact as its ability, so if you end up with a toolbox, you might use this sometimes, but it's a bad card. Trial by Fire, really good removal. We love the 1 fire pip, so you can even play it as a splash card. I'm going to call it a queen. I originally kind of ranked Trial by Fire the same as Flame Strike, but Flame Strike has the 2-for-1 and more than 2-for-1 potential of Flame Strike puts it into the aces category. Trial by Fire is just a solid queen removal. Martyrs of Tomorrow, 2-drop for 3, really stinks, but the ward effect can be, like, ward is frustrating. This card complicates the board. So I put it in my sort of playables, you know, a pair of 7s ain't the worst, but it ain't the best, and Martyrs of Tomorrow is, you know, fits into a lot of decks, but I'm not going to pick it super high. Lesser Blood Demon is definitely a queen of the ordinary slot. Would never pack one, pick one this card, but it's 3 power and you get to play it for 2. That's great. Lash. So this is a card I've debated a lot with some of the other players in our local scene, whether or not you run it in decks. It's sort of like Willing Tribute in that it lets you swing twice with your big guy, which can be really good. The difference is this can't just be a body if you don't have the big guy to swing twice with, like Willing Tribute could, whereas this all it can do is get you the double swing, or in really unique scenarios work as removal, like to finish off something that you already crashed another minion into. We'll put it in the Jokers. I wouldn't play it usually, but there are definitely decks. If you hit a couple really good elite or unique bomb units, maybe you want to run Lash. Ignited, great card. Definitely a queen to me. It's basically a Firebolts, but with some slightly different functionality. It's charged, does 3 damage to something, pay 2, remove their 3 power thing. Yeah, I mean, isn't that what Trial by Fire is? Except this one costs 1 less. Hellhounds. Now we put ghouls in the queens before. That was partially because air is so thin. I'm still gonna put this in the queens. Like, this is a card I find myself picking these 3 for 3, especially because they're 1 pip. Like, even like pick 6. This is sometimes the card I want, maybe even sooner, like, because some of the packs are just so bad in Gothic. There's a lot of variance in the quality of the cards in your draft packs when you're drafting Gothic. Grief Larva, don't play it. I've seen a lot of people play this card. It's really cute. It's 1 damage a turn. It'll take this card 20 turns to win you a game. Granary Rats, also don't play it. Yeah, we don't need to talk about it. It's a 1 power minion. Gift of the Serpent. Second best gift in the gift cycle. This is a removal spell that replaces itself, but costs you a minion. So it's a 1-for-1, but it's a any 1-for-1, right? Like, this Gift of the Serpent lets you trade your Wild Fanatic into a Lord of Lies. That's what Gift of the Serpent is. And it draws you a card. It's so good. If you happen to hit this in a Savior deck, you are living the dream. It's an ace. Ravenous Werewolf. This card has not been as good as I feel like it should be so far for me, but it's a good card. You pay 5 to get a 3 power charge. 4 for a 3 power charge is great. 5 for a 3 power charge is a little worse, but the movement really counts on this. It can hit stuff that thinks it's safe. You can definitely sneak in a death blow with this occasionally, or just a lot of utility. So it's, yeah. In my fast and low decks, this is often my top end card, and I end up not even playing it just because I'm doing other stuff. But yeah, it's a good card. Profane Revenant, bad card. So this is, if you're in a Persecutor deck, I guess you can always turn this into a 3 power minion on your turn, because it's adjacent to itself and you can make it treat itself as evil. But even then, it's 0 power on your opponent's turn. Um, yeah, I mean, someone changed my mind, but I'm not playing Profane Revenant. One Shot Wizard. This card has done some really impressive things in Limited in what I've played so far, but I don't pick it, I don't run it really. It's, you know, it's kind of like a Ghost Fire that leaves a 1 power body on the board instead of letting you cast it twice, so it might be playable sometimes, and can definitely be a nice little trick, so worth putting in many decks. I'll put it in the 7s. And that brings us to Ghostfire. This is sort of pay 2, do 2, so it's like the worst fire bolts. Still a really handy removal spell though, and the fact that you can split it up and sort of have it sitting in your graveyard as a trick is nice, but everyone can see it in your graveyard, so it doesn't, you know, it's never a surprise the second time unless you do both on the same turn. I play it more often than I play One Shot Wizard, but I also don't run it, like, especially if I'm drafting Fire and I'm getting Trial by Fires and Flame Strikes. Ghost Fire often doesn't make my list. Noxious Corpse, really solid minion, 2 power, lethal. Means that it's annoying to, like, if it's just hitting them for 2 each turn, they're not happy, and it can really box out bigger things. You love getting this with a Smite or something like that. Yeah, Noxious Corpse, very solid. One of the few 2 power minions I would put in the Queen's category, in the category of cards I'm always happy to play. Angry Mob is 3 power for 4, which feels bad, but 3 power is the magic number. You want 3 and greater power minions in general, and this upside, like, getting to just delete their, you know, super duper S tier ace, double ace card. I mean, like, our aces in this breakdown are just aces for ordinaries, but there's some crazy uniques and elites out there that this just handles. We'll go quickly over the sites. Like I said, in the air section, I picked sites. Basically, I'll never pick a site over a queen level card unless it's one of the truly incredible sites, like the sites that allow you to cast a 3 power minion. But as sites go, deserts are just great. Incidental removal, extra damage. Blooms are great as well. Helps you splash elements. You know, it's been said before, it'll get said again. Till your next turn, sites are silenced while nearby. I'll put this in the 7s category. Leadworks sometimes can do some really cool stuff. It often can help in fun little ways, but it's not really a card that's always useful. A lot of the times it's basically just a wasteland. And then a Cursed Desert, just like the air Ward Breaker, definitely a solid site. I'd probably pick it above a lot of these 7s. If I'm already hitting my queens and better cards in my draft. If I've got the playables, I'd pick this relatively highly. Just don't make the mistake of playing it in a ward deck. That's happened to me, and I've seen it happen to others, where you think, oh, this is better than a wasteland, I might as well run it. But if you're running a bunch of ward mechanics, sometimes this actually hurts. And that's fire. Water is, I think, the second strongest element. An argument could be made for it being the strongest element. That is definitely between earth and water for that title, the major takeaways for water as an element. One, I've seen it get picked low a lot in drafts so far. It's sort of, maybe we're all just used to not picking water highly, or I don't know what it is, but water seems to be open a lot right now. I'm sure that will change as everyone realizes it's actually maybe the strongest or one of the strongest elements. It has the easiest access to big bodies, and in a format that tends to get grindy, those big bodies really pay off. Yeah, it has kind of the least, well, has less impressive removal than Earth and Fire. Earth and Fire is what I find myself building most commonly in Limited so far, especially in Sealed. Draft, it's sort of a matter of what's open and what you see in those top spots of your picks. So yeah, let's get started on Fire. We'll get started with a real banger. Freeze, disable target nearby minion until your next turn. Don't play it. This could maybe be a Joker card. This card will occasionally go in a deck. It can function kind of as incidental removal, but you'd much rather have a more guaranteed removal option. Though it might be one of those cards that, as we get better at the format, people start playing Freeze to great effect. Drowned, the least versatile of the 2-cost 3-power minions, but it's still a 3-power minion for 2, so I'm putting it in the Queen section. You just want 3-power bodies, especially in draft. It's easy to end up with a deck full of 2s if you're not careful. And yeah, there's things like Dredge that can sometimes be fun with it. Weathered Trunks. I'm high on Weathered Trunks. Some people, I've talked to folks who really feel like this downside of having to be cast to a site that's occupied by an enemy makes them significantly worse, because you know there's something that's going to be able to attack them, right? If you can play them, but you know, I guess I'll put it in the Queens. I almost want to put this in the Ace category, but Ace is for Ordinaries that in a bad pack I might pack one, pick one, and I think even the worst pack I've seen has something better than a Weathered Tree Trunks to pack one, pick one. Trial by Water. I mean, it's Drown. If you're playing Water, you'll probably be able to use it, but you're not guaranteed. I'm actually going to put this in the 7s. In a previous thing I did, I rated this a little higher, but having to have them on Water, I mean, it's nice that it's nearby and not adjacent like some of the other trial cards, or Buried Alive. Yeah, I mean, it's trying to poke out a 7, and you need hard removal in Water, but ideally you're playing another element with better removal. But that's not, I don't know, Trial by Water is playable. I've almost put that in a Queen. 10-ton Slug. So this is probably going to be the most controversial statement of the video so far. 10-ton Slug is a 7. It's a 7-cost, 7-power minion, and it's like drawing a 7 when you're playing poker. You know, you're unlikely to play this before turn 10. And yes, when you play it, it's a huge body on the board, but I just have trouble picking it highly. Maybe if you pack one to Harbinger, because you like to get crazy, this goes a little higher. I mean, it is a big body. We love big bodies. Okay, I'll it'd be wrong of me to put it in the sevens. It's a queen. You're gonna, if you don't have, like, that's the other, like, if you hit any good bot, like, you don't really want to run more than 3 or 4 tops, probably 3 minions that cost 6 or more. And so this, I don't know, really you want like 2, I don't know, 10-ton slug. Despite my true feelings, I'll put it in the queens. Survivors of Sarava, they're just a 2 for 2. Fine body for filling out your curve. Happy to pick it up. Pick 9 in a draft, but before that, you're kind of bummed to grab her. She becomes stealthed if there's no one near her, which often happens the turn you play her, but usually never again after that. Slimy Mutants. Now this one is definitely a queen to me. So the transform thing, if you're in water, there's a good chance you might get a couple of these croaking swamps, which then can let you cheat this out, and then it becomes a 4 for 3, which is really a 4 for 4 that you know, paid one of the 4 ahead of time on. But even a 5 for 4, a 4 power body, like we've already said that 3 power bodies are the, you know, tip the scales in your favor. But if you can run 5 bodies that are 4 or more power, you're loving life. Same with the Shoggoth. Like, I'd rather play Shoggoth than 10-ton slug most of the time, as crazy as that sounds. So I'll put it in the queens, though I'm still kind of low on these 5 powers for 6. It's just, you don't want to be, card advantage is everything, so you got to think of this as it's 3 turns after you hit 3 mana. It really means 6 turns after you hit 3 mana. So this is a turn 9, turn 8 thing, you know? Sewer rats, don't play them. 1 power minions are not good. Sarava Town folk, I mean, they're barely a 7, but I really don't want to play these in my decks, but they can fill out your curve. Mesmer Demon, our first ace. This card is exactly like Screamer, but the opposite. It draws in a minion and taps it. You can usually use this card as removal. In my experience, there's usually some way to play this and it enables you to kill something that didn't look killable. Great card. I mean, obviously you're hoping for something better, but that's the kind of card that pick 1, 2, 3 of a given pack, I would be considering Mesmer Demon. Lure. Ally tempts an enemy minion at a nearby site into taking a step closer. Unplayable. Garbage. Moving on. There might be something you could do with this. Maybe. I don't know. Don't play it. Instigator Imp is the best of the imps. I still... This is often your 23rd or 24th card. Like, I'd play Instigator Imp over Sarava Townsfolk, or maybe even Survivors of Sarava. It's, you know, you have to set it up, but this can often just kill 2 of your opponent's minions, and usually you can find a moment that it can kill 1 of their minions, but the truth is, you'd rather just have good bodies on the board. But it's playable, the most playable of the imps. Ice Shards, you wish it was more, but it's a Firebolts that costs 1 more than Firebolts did, and it only shoots 3 squares, but that's as far as it needs to shoot, you know? I've never found the melting to be the problem, so it's a great card. super solid removal, damage, death blow, horrible hybrids. Water's the first element where I'm tempted to knock these 3 for 3 with no abilities down to the 7s category, but it's still a 3 power minion. The 1 water threshold makes it really easy to play too. Gift of the Frog. I've got a couple. Yeah, like I want to put 10-ton slug in the 7 slot, and I also want to put Gift of the Frog in the 7 slot. I mean, maybe this is the 6 and the 6/7 of Gothic Sorcery. It replaces itself, and it gives you a 0 power body. Yeah, I'll put it in the 7s. I think people might go up on this card eventually, but to me, I'm probably not even playing it if I have better cards to play a lot of the time. Sea Witch, another one of these 2 power spellcasters for 2. Yeah, she'll fill out your curve, but you're not looking for her. Return to Nature, shuffle some cards back into a deck, draw a spell, sort of just cycle for nothing. Not really playable. Overflow. I hear a lot of people really excited about this card. This is Overflow, and the Earth version of this are the most common card I've had played against me, where I thought, why did anyone put this in their deck ever? But I understand why, right? The reason is you're playing 10-ton slug, and so you play Overflow so you can get your 10-ton slug out on turn 7 instead of turn 10 or whatever. But I still just don't think it's really playable. You'd rather go slower and play another minion. Muddy Pigs, the ability healing you 3 life is not a big deal, so it's just another 2-drop for filling out your curve. Moss Troll is horrible hybrids, but it's hard to remove it, so a solid one of those 3 power minions. Also, for anyone who manages to pull a Savior, it's one of those cards that I looked at it and assumed it was evil, but it's not. You can ward this bad boy. Baptize. I don't know if you even want to see it. Ward each allied minion at target water site. Not good. Don't play it. Yeah, that's our water breakdown. I'm actually surprised that the only one I put in Ace is the Mesmer Demon, but I stand by it. I mean, 10-ton slug, I think a lot of people are high on, and it does, like, if they don't have hard removal, 10-ton slug can run the board, but it's still just one minion, right? If you wasted a turn drawing a site for turn to try and get it out, it's going to take it 3 turns to pay for that. Like, it's going to have to crush 2 of their cards before the amount of time and card draw you wasted getting it out makes it playable. I don't know, 10-ton slug. Topic of great debate. Maybe in the comments others will express how they feel about it. Croaking Swamp, like all the sites, you start picking it once you don't see any queens. This one's, I like it a lot. Extra bodies are essential. I'll call it a queen site. Blessed Well, these warded sites do nothing. There's occasionally build around reasons that it would be nice to have a ward. Maybe it slows down your opponent a little, but it's not helping you build the board state, which is what you want. Blooms are great. Play them. And then this is like a desert that hits inside its body of water. I haven't seen it work yet, but I think you can set it up, and if you've got these in your deck, you might find it being useful. Don't pick it above something good though, or really above any playable card, honestly. And that's water. You see, water's just got, even in the ordinary slot, water's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 minions over 3 powers in the Ordinaries is pretty good. Fire had none, and air had 1. So you can see water's got a lot going for it, especially when the game draws long. Okay, and now we will close it out with Earth. I think Earth is the strongest element. You know, I'm sure there's some arguments to be made about that, but not much. It's also, I think, the least tricky element, so there's less sort of clever maneuvers and things like that you can pull off in Earth, but it just doesn't matter because the cards are so strong. So let's get started with Earth Ordinaries. First off, Entombed. I'm still going to keep running all of these 2-cost, 3-power minions in the Queen section. You're almost always going to play this unless you can hit enough other 3-power minions to avoid it, but 3 power for 2 is great. It stinks that it has to be cast burrowed, but sometimes that comes in handy even. Eltham Townsfolk, vanilla 2 power for 1, just a solid 7, not anything to say about that. Crawler, Crawler is basically a ghoul or a penitent knight with this little smidge of upside, which can help it survive a couple removal spells that are out there. And you can even shoot your bone arrow over the top of its head if you want. So, yeah, Crawler's kind of a nifty one. Cemetery Rats goes right to the don't play it pile. Same with Carrion Beetles. Carrion Beetles is one that if you hit a toolbox, you might find yourself grabbing. Buried Alive. I'm going to put it as an A. You're about to see why Earth is the best element. So I put Trial by Water pretty low because it only hits 25% of locations in the game. This hits the other 75% of locations. You're almost always going to be able to line up a caster for this, though sometimes it can get, like, you'll have to skip an attack, right? You'll move rather than move an attack to cast this, just to avoid letting them be able to block. But that said, it's solid hard removal. See you later, 10-ton slug. After your opponent spends 9 turns and an overflow getting the 10-ton slug out, you just bury it alive and move on with your life. Zombie Horde, the Amazon warrior of limited in Gothic. This is a great card. I would hope to not pick one Zombie Horde, but I would not be that sad if I had to. And there's a lot of unplayable elites, uniques, and exceptionals out there, and this is just a great ordinary. You can even splash for Zombie Horde pretty easily, so just so good. Virgin and Prayer, I might go up on later. I'll still run it as a 7. Like, this little bit of interaction can definitely lead to getting a good trade, and whereas I wouldn't play a card that just warded an ally and did nothing else, but ward an ally and leave a body behind, there's times this is really useful. It's interaction, and then you've got her around to sort of eke in the last point of damage to kill off something here and there, or chump block. Undesirables, if you're pulling Earth cards, you're hoping to get Zombie Hordes, not Undesirables, but it's playable. It's 5 power. It goes in the Queen section. I have found myself getting a lot of these, both in sealed pools and drafts so far, and I don't always run all of the Undesirables I get, especially if I have other things to put in the 5+ mana category, but it often, you find yourself short on these big bodies, and then it's great. Barrow White, it's kind of a vanilla 2 for 2 with burrowing, but it's got the recursion, so there's so much skeleton production in Gothic that this usually makes most of my decks as one of my 2-drops, but I'm trying to run 5 2-power minions, and this is often the one I pick, but it's not one I would pick highly in drafting. I'd rather take a Penitent Knight or a Ghoul over this almost any day, unless I got a Necromancer. Obviously, this card bumps up to Queen, if not Ace, if you pull the Necromancer. Landmass, the other card that I see played a lot that I strongly disagree with playing. Yeah, it's the same as Overflow, but for land sites, so it's better, I guess, because more of your sites are land, but I don't know, if you're playing water, yeah, it's just, burning a spell to play a site out of your Atlas is not the kind of card value you want in Limited, usually, unless you're running a really steep curve list. You know, if you're running 4 undesirables and 2 zombie hordes, maybe you could put landmass in your deck, but even then, I don't know. A Revered Revenant, don't play it. This is just ends up being useless. I mean, like, maybe in a Savior deck you might play it, but even then, you're probably trying to play other cards. Gift of the Wolf. I think I will say unequivocally the best ordinary card in Limited in Gothic. Burn it onto your eyeballs. This card is so good. It's usually a 0 for 1. Usually you don't spend a card and destroy something of theirs with this. And usually you destroy the thing that they thought was going to destroy your thing. So it's just has such a high ceiling, and even the floor is it's card neutral and you do an extra 2 damage. Like, just, it's not much to say about it aside from it's really good. I have pack 1, picked 1, Gift of the Wolf, or not pack, I've pick 1'd it out of many packs at this point. Smite, also just probably the most reliable removal in the game and can deal a death blow. This is like, we're seeing it right now. 4 aces in the ordinary slot. I mean, Smite, so yeah. In case you didn't have time to read it, you or any of your allies gets to strike an adjacent enemy. If it's evil, you banish it. So it's hard removal against evil, which is the majority of things, and it's a death blow spell, and it ends up being sort of incidental removal even against things that aren't evil, as long as you can get something of equal power next to it. Bless is not good. Ward a nearby minion or site. Don't play it. Monks of Kobalsa. I almost want to put these as an ace too. I mean, it's a 4 power. If this was just 1 earth threshold, I think I would have to put it as an ace. Because it's 2 earth threshold, it means you have to be pretty heavy into earth, and there are games where even when earth is one of your 2 main elements, you can't play this on turn 4 because you didn't hit the right threshold. But it's so good. You're always running it in any deck that can. The ability, to me, is usually more of a downside than an upside. Like, you can't cast Gift of the Wolf on your Monks of Kobalsa, right? But sometimes it's upside. Usually it's downside. These guys, they're great. They're sort of, just like the Moss Troll and Water. They're that 3 power, single threshold with a little upside. Warding a site doesn't usually do much for you, but maybe you hit a Holy Nova and that'll come in handy. Noisome Twosome, another sort of solid 2-drop. I mean, you can see even like the stuff in the 7s category here, these are better 2-for-2s than the 2-for-2s and other elements. I mean, this is really a 3-for-2, the Noisome Twosome, because you get 1 power after it dies. Really sticky. I often run Noisome Twosome over Barrow White, unless I know, because I find myself ending up with less skeletons than I want, because I think everyone just loves the skeleton synergy, so they get picked highly. Penitent Knight, this is that standard 1-pip, 3 power for 3, always play it, basically unlimited. I mean, unless you really hit your numbers on the 3-drops, it's a really solid card. Search Party is a 3 power for 3 with upside. It's 2 Earth Threshold, but yeah, I feel like it's so cute that it's so rare to get more than 2 of these tops, because everyone's kind of like, oh, it would be cute if I got 3 Search Parties and then, I get to play a 4 power for 3 or a 5 power for 3. But it's a 3-for-3 anyway, so you might as well go for it and see if you get there. And then the Holy Warrior. Yeah, so I've been debating what the best of the 2-for-2s is. And my instinct is Holy Warrior. I mean, it depends on your deck, right? If you're playing Air Earth and you're running Bone Spears or other skeleton production, the other Barrow White and Noisome Twosome become better, but Holy Warrior often it's often just really nice upside. Ward is annoying to deal with. It's only a 2 power with Ward, but that can, like, you can do a lot of double block shenanigans where only one of your minions dies, thanks to Holy Warrior's Ward. And then we'll just go over the sites real quick. It's going to be the same as all the other ones. Sites that generate a minion are great. Always run them. Probably don't pick them over 3 power minions, but if you've already got your 4 2 power minions you need, maybe pick it above other 2 power minions. Hillside Chapel, it's better than a Valley. I think I'd still put it in the Queen category of sites. A lot of the time, you can attack with a minion first and then play this and pay the 1 to ward it after it attacks. You gotta have wardable minions, but if you're in Earth, you got a decent chance of having those. We've got this Blessed Village. I'm just gonna put it down here. I mean, obviously it's better than a Valley, but Ward just doesn't do much for you on a site unless you've got some crazy, sometimes you've got something, sometimes you have a Holy Nova or some other Ward interaction that makes these good, but that's rare. Silent Hills silences minions while atop nearby sites. This can do some really cool stuff. You can use it to break wards, you can use it to remove stealth, it can enable your skeletons to move and to defend, which can be really nifty. Silent Hills is, I think Silent Hills might actually be my top pick of the ordinary Earth sites, just because of all the utility you can get out of it. I mean, maybe just getting a body is better. And then the blooms are the blooms. They're great. You want them, but you're probably not going to pick them too high unless you really know you're going for a 3. I don't know, if you're trying to build a more than 2 element deck, you might be in a weird place in your draft. But in your sealed pool, these are great. You love seeing them. And then I figured just at the end of this one, well, first let's just talk about Earth for a second. 4 aces is crazy. We've got 1, 2, 3 minions above 3 power, so not quite as many big bodies as water, but it's got better removal, the best gift. You know, even its 2-drops are all better 2-drops than any element. Like Earth, just the more I look at it, the more it seems so strong to me, which means maybe everyone will start trying to force Earth, and then it will be hard to run Earth. So who knows? You know, maybe Earth, maybe steering away from it will get you better decks in draft, but in sealed, it's probably the first element to check to see if you've got enough playables in. And then I want to quickly go over the non-elemental ordinaries. There's only 4 of them. There's Troubled Town. If you didn't hit any of the elites or uniques that cost 3 or 4 thresholds, so if you're only 2 or 1 threshold cards in a 2-element deck, I would play Troubled Town, is basically where I'm at with this card now. I mean, you get to cast 4, like, you don't even have to have drafted a Townsfolk. So if you're in Earth or Water and you're not threshold greedy, this card is pretty playable. You get a 2-power body without having to draw it. That's not something to scoff at. So if your threshold can afford it, Troubled Town can be really good. But it's a risk. Usually I avoid sites that don't provide threshold. So that's what I have to say about that. Wiccan Tools. I have not really played Wiccan Tools yet. Everyone else is playing it in our local scene. And it cantrips, so that's nice. Like, it's card neutral and can kind of fix for you too, right? So, like, especially if you ran the Troubled Town, like, maybe these Wiccan Tools save you on something, but I'd just rather play a card I really want. I'll still put, I'd still put Wiccan Tools, like, just barely into the playables. I wouldn't put it in the unplayables, but Torch and Pitchfork. This card has overperformed in what I've seen so far. The format, there's a lot of ways to end up with a lot of ordinary bodies, especially with the token generation mechanics. I would not pick this highly. Like, I'm putting Torch and Pitchfork solidly in the 7s. I'm not going to say it's a queen. It's not a card that I'm always going to play if it's in my pool, but it is a card I'm going to consider playing. And in certain decks, it becomes really good. Obviously, if you've got a Necromancer, this card can be so great. But it's risky too. You can lose it. And then there's the Barricade. I had the Barricade solidly in the don't play it category. And I think it is still in that category. I mean, it's not a body, it's not removal. But someone did play this against me in the final, like, the match for the top spot at our most recent draft. And it was annoying. Like, I had to do some fancy footwork to get around it, and they were playing a deck that wanted to stall out a little so they could build up to some big stuff and some cool combos they had managed to build for. And I was playing a fast and low deck, and this slowed me down, but it's still bad. Like, I still dealt with it, and ultimately I removed the Barricade without spending a card to do it, right? Like, I attacked with a warded minion and got to break the Barricade, and so it was a 1 for none for me. So yeah, Barricade, don't play it. It's cute, and maybe in very particular decks you might be able to play it. And that is our quick rundown of the Ordinaries in Gothic. I hope you enjoyed it.